Jon Batiste here, and where do I begin when I talk about my hometown? It's so much. It's a mix of traditions and lineages that really taught me the importance of all generations coming together and how everybody has something that they're tied to that's bigger than themselves. I'll tell you a few stories that illustrate that. You know, I went to a high school, St. Augustine High School in New Orleans, Louisiana. And recently I recorded a song with my high school marching band. And during the break between the studio recording, you know, there's times where we go to lunch and times where we're just hanging around and the band members are playing their drums and they're playing a cadence. And I remember hearing this cadence a long time ago when I was a kid. So I asked these high school kids, what is it that y'all are playing? And they say, this is called Russ. Russ is my cousin who babysat me when I was a kid. He went to the school in the 70s. I went to the school in the early 2000s. This is 2021. And they're playing a cadence that he wrote when he was in high school. And they didn't even realize that that was my cousin. They just were playing that because it's one of their favorite cadences. Another story that I can tell you is that when I grew up, I lived between Kenner, Louisiana and New Orleans. Now, New Orleans is where I went to high school, but Kenner is kind of where my grandmother lived and where I grew up in the suburbs, and just feels really country. There's a railroad track that separates the towns. It was still kind of segregated when I was growing up, but you know, segregated with charm. It's a different time, you know. It wasn't throwing rocks and bricks like my parents when they grew up. But it was something that you could still sense that old school provincial nature of life, where you go to the corner store. My grandmother, she had a general store that was on the other corner, and you would go to either one corner to play the arcade or you go to get a candy, and they had candy that they sold for a nickel. We used to buy nickel candy, go play the arcade. Then we got Super Nintendos, and we'd go home and we'd play Super Nintendos. And, and my grandfather, he had this instrument room. And in the instrument room, there were all kind of things that he had built himself just by hand. So long story short, we were in the instrument room one day, and we were just playing, and Mr. Perkins, who owned the store up the street, he came by, he heard the music coming, and he was like, hey y'all, what y'all doing? And he started telling us a story about when my dad and his brothers, my uncles, were kids, and they were playing in that same music room, and he would come by and listen. So just stuff like that happening growing up was amazing. And I just want to honor my hometown, warts and all. There's a lot of stuff we need to fix. We got to get our irrigation and everything together. We got hurricane, we got all kind of stuff we need to fix, but guess what? I love it. We're never gonna leave. We're gonna be strong. And I'm just glad that we're doing this. Dan and all of the wonderful cast of people, thank you so much. And honor your hometown. It's part of what made you who you are. And be proud of that. You're enough just as you are. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. See you later.